What's up, people? It's your boy Levelhead back with another video. I got a lot I want to cover, so I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. I got my whole setup. You see it, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need to explain. I haven't caught Pikmin yet. I'm going to let you know why, because I purchased this right here, which is the Machine. Y'all see that? Micro, which is a Groove Production Studio, which I added to my studio. It cost me a little bit, so that's why I haven't purchased the Pikmin 3, which I'm going to get tomorrow. I had the money for it, but I am a married man with kids, and you know what I'm saying, I want to keep peace in my home. So anyway, I got my boy Mr. Frosty. But anyway, let's jump into it. I want to talk about something that no one is talking about. Something that no one chooses to bring up. And then when somebody chooses to kind of touch on this, they only kind of touch on it. They don't really go into the real with it. And that is Sony. And I touched on this on I think my second video I ever made. I touched on this. But I think I want to revisit this because it's mind-boggling how this industry and how this gaming community, you know what I'm saying, YouTube or anywhere, chooses to turn a blind eye to the situation of Sony while they put a magnifying glass on anything Nintendo does, and sometimes even what Microsoft does. But they turn a blind eye, you know what I'm saying, to Sony. So let's talk about it. You know, two financial reports came out last week, but only one got heavy coverage, and that was Nintendo's. Nintendo released a financial first quarter reports for this year, showing a mixture of good and bad. Pretty much the 3DS is solid, selling well, actually dominating the market right now. So much so that Nintendo is making good little bit of money off of it, and it's covering the lackluster sales of the Wii U. Also, we heard a lot of stores not, you know what I'm saying, selling the Wii U anymore over in UK. And that's all been covered, and how, you know what I'm saying, Splinter Cell Blacklist is not going to have offline co-op, and how Batman is not going to have the online features. All that's been covered and well addressed, been isolated, been smothered with attention. That's all you see. It's just flooded with attention on that. The magnifying glass is just put on Nintendo, and everything negative is exposed and brought out to be revealed to the public, to scrutinize and to laugh and to mock and to tease. And they love it. And then with the release of the financial reports, they go even more with the 160K only being moved between April and June. It's just laugh and stalk, and they don't have no games. And no games, you got all these dudes, and I'm not going to say no names because I'm trying to keep this thing neutral. But you got all these dudes, no games, no games, no games, no games, no games. And it's Nintendo's fault to an extent. It's Nintendo's fault. They mishandled the launch, you know what I'm saying? And you can't deny the situation that the Wii U is in. But we at that point where we all know Nintendo, if anybody got a proven record of making the bounce back and having the capability of bouncing back within a moment's notice, it's Nintendo. They done it with the 3DS. They have done it with just about every situation they've been in. They bounce back. They land on their feet, and they make everyone that mocked them, you know what I'm saying, they get the last laugh. That has been Nintendo's MO, what they do. We used to it. So that's why when I listen to Iwata and I hear what he talk about, and he show little concern about the situation, I know why, because they know what they're capable of. The 3DS is literally being carried by Nintendo and only Nintendo. Where's the third party on the 3DS? Nowhere to be seen. But this system is killing everything on the market, and it's the beast. Even though nobody want to talk about how this system, even though it's the system to own, they say that, but they give full coverage to everything else. And then with the Xbox One and all that, even I came on and said I hope the Xbox One fail. And I talked about the DRM and the mandatory check-ins, and everybody was on that. And you got all these people making videos about the Xbox One. Nobody seems to be paying attention to Sony. Nobody seems to be looking at Sony's situation, because out of the three, Sony is the only one really facing a bad situation, because if the PlayStation 4 isn't successful, Sony and the Sony brand, far as PlayStation brand, is done. It ain't no ifs and buts about it. That's fact. If the PlayStation 4 does not succeed, it's a wrap for the PlayStation brand. Now, the sad thing about this is, and I said this on Twitter to some people, I'm not going to bring up their name, but I said I'll make this video. There is no reason. This is what bothers me. There is no reason for Sony to be depending on the PlayStation 4. There is no reason, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Now, there were, like I said, the two financial reports was released. Sony didn't even put Vita on their report. No one seems to be talking about this. Nowhere on Sony's report did the Vita show up. Let me take a drink. Nowhere on the report did the Vita numbers and sales show up. They covered the PlayStation 2, the PSP they covered. But they didn't cover their latest system, which is the Vita. And nobody looked at that with suspicion and brought that out or isolated that or smothered that with attention. It was just Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U. Because that's what they love to do. But it got me to thinking. I was like, why didn't Sony put the reports on there? At least Nintendo has the guts, you know what I'm saying, the fortitude to stand front line and center, to stand front and center, lay their stuff right there in front of you, as bad as it is, and say, read it. Yep, that's what it is. That's how it is. And you know what? We gonna fix it. Sony ain't even got the guts to put the Vita sales on paper and let the masses see it. That shows you the character that this company has. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they are not willing to show everyone just how bad they're selling. So, another report came out about Nintendo and how over the span of 30 years they have managed to sell 650 million pieces of hardware. Meaning between the home console and the handheld divisions, they have managed to sell 650 individual pieces of hardware. So I was like, man, that's pretty cool. 30-year span, that's pretty cool. And it sparked a thought. I was like, I wonder what Sony, you know what I'm saying, over their lifetime span has sold. And I just looked it up. And Sony's been on the market for 19 years, right? Now, Nintendo has had 9 systems to generate this 650 million hardware sold. Pieces of hardware sold. Well, Sony only has 5 pieces of hardware, or 5 different systems with which to work with. But look at the number. In 19 years, over the span of 19 years, Sony, based on VG charts, and I know this ain't totally accurate, but it's close enough, Sony has managed to sell 425, give or take, million pieces of hardware across 5 systems. Nintendo 9, 650 over 30 years. Sony 5, 425 over 19 years. That means they moving some units. So it begs the question again, why in the world is Sony literally dependent upon the Vita to save the Sony brand? So y'all keep that in y'all head. So I looked up the numbers. I want to show y'all something. This is another reason why Iwata is not concerned as much. He made a statement. We're trying to get the Wii U back to the normal Nintendo home console sales. Hence the word normal. Now let's look at it. Home console division of Nintendo, the NES, the original, sold 62 million systems. 62 million. The Super NES sold 49 million. The N64 sold 33 million. The GameCube sold 22 million. And the Wii sold 100 million. Now you see how drastic of a leap the Wii was over the norm. The NES original only sold 62 million. The Super NES only sold 49 million. It's a decline every year. The N64 sold 33 million and the GameCube 22, but the Wii managed to sell 100 million systems. Remember all them pictures with Iwata, Reggie, and Miyamoto with cash in their hands and money just flopping out of the printer because they was pretty much printing money with the Wii. Because they really was, because that's not the norm for the home console portion of Nintendo. It normally only move upwards of 50 million systems normally. That's the average. But let's look at their handheld. I'm moving fast, I don't want to be too long. DS, all the DS's, DSi, whatever you want to, DS Lite, all of them together, 155 million. Game Boy Advance, 118 million. Game Boy Advance, 81 million. 3DS, 33 to 35 million. So the 3DS is flowing right along with where all the other handheld consoles was doing. So Nintendo is on track because the Wii U already moved right at 4 million systems. So the Wii U is not in a bad position. It's not in an abnormal position. It's just not doing what the Wii done. Right. So let's look at Sony and their 5. The PlayStation original, 104 million systems moved. PlayStation 2, 157 million systems moved. The PlayStation 3, 78 million systems moved. The PSP, 79 million systems moved. And the Vita in 2 years only managed to move 5 or 6. But right now I'm thinking it's 5. Looking at this number, it's 5.43 million systems in 2 years. And the Wii has managed to move 4 million systems in 9 months. Now do you see why they didn't put the Vita sales on that paper? Because the Vita is moving at a really, really slow rate. Now, so that still doesn't answer the question, why in the world is Sony, with those type of numbers, 157 PS2, 104 PS1, 78 million PS3, PSP 79 million. How in the world with that many systems moved is Sony dependent upon the PlayStation 4, and it must sell for them not to fold as far as their PlayStation division? Now y'all say, oh, that ain't true, they ain't worrying about folding. Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, it is. It's that serious. No one is talking about this because there's another dude, a hedge fund billionaire by the name of Daniel Loeb. Look him up, which owns 6.9% shares in Sony and owns the company Third Points. It's been pushing, and y'all heard about this earlier this year, but it kind of went under. But he wanted Sony to sell off some of the assets and some portions of what Sony owned in entertainment and other areas. The stuff that is not making money, he wants Sony to sell. The same dude has been putting pressure, still going on. Matter of fact, there's an article talking about how the execs at Sony, because Kazurai rejected his offer, but they're really looking into it and giving a deeper look at it because of the situation going on behind the scenes at Sony that no one is talking about, that you don't see on IGN, that you don't see on game trailers, that you don't see on none of these dudes on YouTube channel, that you don't hear across Twitter. All you hear about with Sony is the 8 gigs. All you hear about is Sony and the PlayStation 4 and how powerful it is. You ain't seen no games, you haven't seen anything, and it's all speculation and what they believe, like they always do. But no one is talking about the fact that Sony is totally relying upon this PlayStation 4, and it has to succeed. See, the Wii U don't have to succeed for Nintendo to be successful. Nintendo got it in the wraps, and they know what to do to make it successful, but they ain't dependent on the Wii U. Sony, the PlayStation 4 has to sell. There is no other way ifs, ands, buts about it. If it don't sell, that's the end of the PlayStation brand. No one is talking about this. And the question is, why in the world is Sony depending on the sale of the PlayStation 4 with the numbers that they use? And I'm going to tell you why. Because at one time, with the PS1, and I'm going to say the PlayStation 2, Sony was just about making a good system. Wasn't worried about being the most powerful. Wasn't worried about this, that, and the other. They put that DVD in the PlayStation 2, and they sold. I mean, I'm pretty sure they released the PlayStation 2 at a loss, but they recouped once the, cost of the parts inside the PlayStation 2 went down over maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Then they was making profit off of the PlayStation 2. But that was the last time Sony did anything like that. Every system released after that sold at a loss for most of the life of that piece of hardware. The PSP, the PS3, and now the PS Vita. They don't make money. Even though they selling like crazy, when the price cut, even with a price cut, they don't make money. Right now, the Vita is having a problem. Why you think the Vita hasn't gotten a price cut? Because the price cut that it did get over in Japan is hurting Sony because they really can't afford it because they're still selling the Vita at a loss. No one talks about this. And not only that, they got hit with making the PlayStation 4. Their operation costs got hit because they haven't made the money. They haven't even made the money to make up what they lost, and they're making the PlayStation 4, and they got to advertise this thing, and that's hitting their pockets because they don't have operation money up to where it needs to be. Like, to start the next generation, the generation before got to make operation costs back, then money over that. And then you have money to start your next system without having to dig into your pockets. With Sony, with the PlayStation 3, and with the PlayStation Vita, and with the PSP, got hit, and they lost billions. But no one is talking about this. No one seems to be concerned about this. All we talk about is how the Wii U is dead and it's going to die in its own life support. But the truth is, Sony and the PlayStation brand is on life support. To me, I think this needs to be talked about. I believe this needs to be brought out. That the fact that one of their shareholders by the name of Daniel Loeb is pressuring them behind the scenes. Why isn't IGN covering this? Why nobody is talking about this, people? Now, I'm 17, right at 18 minutes into this video, and I'm finna close it down. But I want y'all to leave y'all thoughts down below. How in the world is Sony, why is Sony in the fix that they're in? Why are they dependent on the PlayStation 4? Microsoft ain't dependent on the Xbox One. Nintendo isn't dependent on the Wii U. But Sony is dependent up on the PlayStation 4, or is a wrap for the Sony brand. That's what I had to say. I leave it at your feet. Leave your comments in the comment section. I know that was long, but this is your boy signing out. Like, subscribe, and follow. Deuces.